All right, I'm gonna clean out all of this stuff, and I have some leftover black epoxy from project that I was thinking of filling this with anyway. And I made way too much epoxy, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna dig all this out and then pour that in. That's a big hole. Wow, that goes almost all the way through to the other side. We're gonna see this crack and this guy and this guy. So probably gonna have to seal this whole thing up and do a pour from the top. If I may, I'll just turn it this way, but I'm afraid if I do, this will give way, this will connect in there, and there's actually no material left for tendon and a foot. So better to fill it first and turn it away, since I have extra resin already sitting there, than to end up with a funnel. So that's what I'm going to do. Bring it back when I'm ready to pour. And we're done. Look at that. Okay. So this void here, and I came halfway up the side here, and you can see maybe, I don't know, the Burl figure here, but it's not quite as present here. So I'm going to make this the bottom, and then this void here should turn away. So that will be more or less completely gone, I think, which will be nice. And then all this burl along the top, that will be present in the rim and a good ways down into the bowl. And what I'll do is I'll shape the outside, get rid of that void. Where was it? Get rid of this void, shape it, and then flatten off the top here and then core it. And then I should be able to get a pretty good sized core out of this and make two bowls. And even the smaller one should have almost all of this epoxy gone. There may be a little bit in the bottom, but I think the outer big bowl may only have just traces of epoxy and some small voids or cracks. So that'll be nice because I really want the wood to be forefront here. So that's going to be the plan. I'll get this mounted up and we'll get started. All right, we got it all mounted up safely on the lathe on the faceplate. Yeah, I'm using my 5/8" bowl gouge. So here we go. Oh, it's something I learned at the woodturning symposium I went to a couple months back. Um, and I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but it tends to be more aesthetically pleasing if the curvature of the bowl goes all the way through the foot. So I don't always do that, because I don't really think about it. But I'm gonna try and do that with this bowl and try and make the shape as nice as possible to complement the this gorgeous wood that I've got here. So right here, I've got the outside basically shaped, and you can see me trying to shear scrape with my gouge, and then shear scraping with my carbide cutter, and then finally using my negative rake scraper to try and get a good finish simultaneously on the burl and the resin, which turned out to be kind of tricky, but I got there in the end. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, I resanded that and got scratch marks out that I was looking for. And super nice and smooth. And while I was doing that, since I do have the resin, it's recommended to clean between grits with alcohol. And when you do that, you can kind of see the grain, and it looks really nice. But maple is, it's got a lot of chatoyance and character, but there's not a lot of color variation. So I saw a video quite a while back, and I just revisited it by Frank Didomizio. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's a turner on the East Coast of the USA. He did a maple burl, and he colored it. He did a dye stain, and it's kind of like what you see on guitar tops. Colored, deep colored stain, but you can still see the wood grain. And that's what I'm going to do here. So I got two different dyes here. So first I'm going to use the black trans tint dye, and then a blue, because blue's my favorite color and it's my bowl. But what the black does, I'm going to put that on first, and that will really highlight all of the figure and grain. And then I'll sand that back after it dries. And once it dries, I'll go on with 2 times blue solution, and that will give some depth of color again, kind of with the black. And then I'll do a final with the 1X, and that should give a really, really pretty finish to this whole thing. So I'm usually not a painted bowl colorizing kind of guy. I usually like just plain wood tones, but I think this is crying out for something a little bit extra. So I'm going to give it a go, and hopefully it looks good. Let me know in the comments if you think this was a terrible idea. I'm sure this will be quite polarizing. We'll start with the black. Oh, that is not very dark. All right, well, we'll let that dry for a little bit and see if I like it or if I need to go darker. All right, well, I decided to go for it, and I tested the full strength just on the foot here because it'd be easy to sand off or cut off. And I think I'm gonna do the whole thing that dark and then sand it back so I can get that contrast. Woo! Okay, that is black. Well, we'll let it dry up and come back in a day and sand it back and see what happens. All right, let's sand it all the way back up to 320. And I think that's going to be good enough. Still leaves some of the black in the grain. Hopefully this stuff won't come out as super blotchy looking. I guess we'll find out. And so now the next step is to go with 2 times strength blue and see how that looks. It's mixed. So the backside turned out super nice. You can see that when we get to the end. But what I'm doing here is creating flat area and also a tenon in the middle of the top. So what that does for me is it saves a step. I can turn a nice tenon so that when I finish the core, I have something to reverse into the chuck and turn a tenon or recess on the bottom of the core. So there's not an extra step where I have to recenter and create something with a core that doesn't have a gripping point on one side. So everybody has their own method, but I find this works really nicely. Okay, let's do this. Coring took a little longer than I'd hoped because of the resin pockets slowing things down, but it came out really nice. And I end up with about a 7.5 inch diameter core. That's about 2 inches deep, so I should get a really nice bowl with a lot of figure and hardly any resin in it. As you can see, the coring process went really well, and there's basically almost no resin in the bottom of this bowl. There's just a little bit, about a third of the way up from the bottom, that's a little thick since the outside wasn't perfectly spherical, and the coring obviously is spherical. So I just have to clean up that area and get the thickness to where it matches the rest of the bowl, and then I'll be able to sand and finish. And there you could see that one void that was on the outside that I was worried about, I thought would turn away, but it did show up a little bit on the inside of the bulb. All right, I'm gonna call that good. If I keep chasing the perfect cut on this grain here, I'm probably just gonna dig a hole in the bottom. So I'll quit while on my head, and I just put a couple dots of black CA in there and sand it up. I'll sand it up to 400 And go ahead and take the black and do that first, just like I did on the outside. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the pure black because that took forever to sand back. And I don't think it gave any different effects. So I think this will be fine. Save me a little time. Put one down, sand it back, and do the blue. Well, here we are. I had to sand it back again after I did it because the black was not dark enough and it wasn't giving me enough pop on all this figure. So I've done that twice now, but I think I've got the result that I want and I'm ready to put the lacquer on. So we'll do the first coat here to see what it looks like, and then after that we'll do more coats that I won't have you watch. Okay, well, I'll say that is the result I was looking for. Woo. What do you guys think? Throw a comment down below, and then when I've got all the coats on, we'll bring it back and see what the final result is. So here's a little quick pic of the final bowl with my 2-year-old Maine Coon male, Mr. Beans. He's a big cat, 21 pounds. And here's Mr. Seamus, our new Maine Coon kitten. He's about 12 pounds at 7 months. Here's some more shots of the final bowl, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching as I struggled through trying to decide what to do with this thing, but I think the result turned out really nice. I started this project on October 20th, 2025, and today is Christmas Eve, 2025, so it's taken me quite a while to get this all ready to go. I do have a core from the middle, as you saw, and I'll be doing another video of that pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that. And if you have enjoyed what you've seen and you appreciate the work, drop a like and a comment. Those are free ways to support the channel, and I really do appreciate all of you watching and supporting me. In addition, if you want to support me even more, I have set up a Buy Me a Coffee account where you can do small donations to help support the channel to buy more wood like this, because this was a pretty expensive one. And again, thanks for watching, and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.